Hello and welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. Finally, the last episode of our Strongest Alien series, and we have saved perhaps the most evil and powerful for last. But first, today's video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. For the best price on the market, just $1.99 a month, Surfshark VPN will secure your sensitive data from alien hacking and theft, no matter where you are on the planet. With Surfshark VPN encrypting your data, you can feel free to connect to Wi-Fi networks around the galaxy. Surfshark also does things like provide protection from price discrimination when doing things like purchasing airline tickets, allows you to access geo-restricted content while traveling, and also lets you avoid internet censorship, whether in a country that restricts access to certain websites or on a Xeno homeworld where pro-human content is banned. So go to the link in the description and use code GENFILMS for an 83% discount and one additional month for free. Get ready, my friends, for the Necrons are a race of aliens so powerful, so brutal, that the best defense against them is to pray. The only problem is that you'd probably be praying to gods that the Necrons have already enslaved or destroyed. Perhaps then the best defense against the Necrons is to simply be prepared to die a glorious death for humanity. Press F for yourself this time, boys and girls, because while the Necrons might be nearly invincible, we're going to go down firing away with our lasguns. Which also means that we're definitely going to go down. Anyway, remember if you enjoyed this video to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Let's start with the advantages. Eons ago, the Necrons were a suffering race, stuck in a solar system with a sun that emitted high levels of ionizing radiation, and thus the Necrontier, as they were known back then, lived short, diseased lives with frail, sickly bodies. Eventually, they developed the technology to venture out into space in search of better environs. At some point, they encountered an ancient, intelligent reptilian race known as the Old Ones. The Old Ones were tremendously powerful and had discovered the secrets of immortality, secrets that they refused to share with the Necrons. In response, the Necrontier allied themselves with the Catan, star gods made up of massive amounts of energy who are believed to be the oldest intelligent creatures in the universe. The devious Catan offered the Necrontier a chance at vengeance against the Old Ones, a deal they took. The Necrons shed their sickly flesh and mortal bodies for machine coils, made of a living metal known as necrodermis, the material that made up the star gods' physical forms. Now the newly born Necrons were stronger, faster, smarter. They had the immortality that they craved. Necrodermis is not just resistant to damage, it is nearly immune to it. Necron bodies can heal from the most severe of wounds. Their organs and armor can regenerate and severed limbs can reattach. And such regeneration happens almost instantaneously. A Necron body can often reassemble itself even after being reduced to atoms. And it's not just the Necrons themselves that are made from necrodermis. All of their weapons, ships, and technology are made from it as well. The only way then to defeat a Necron is to overwhelm one so badly that its regenerative systems fail. And even then they can be teleported back to a stasis crypt on a tomb world to heal. After wiping out the Old Ones and then enslaving the Catan, the Necrons were depleted. They did not have the strength to confront the nascent Eldari race, and so the Necrons entombed themselves on their tomb worlds. Worlds scattered throughout the galaxy that allow the Necrons to hibernate. On these worlds, the Necrons slept for 60 million Terran years before awakening in the world of the 41st millennium, where the Eldar were on the brink of extinction. See, as powerful as the Necrons are, even in the rare case that they can be overpowered, they're still immortal, and so they always have time on their side. They can always wait out the demise of threats to their species. Almost every living thing will die at some point, whether by old age, force, mismanagement, or idiocy. The tomb worlds have their problems, from security to precision in waking inhabitants up on time. But overall, they allow the Necrons to overcome life's greatest flaw: time. Once masters over the galaxy, the star gods have been reduced to servants of the Necrons, where they are deployed as weapons on the battlefield. The Necrons literally wield these gods in warfare, unleashing unfathomable amounts of energy on their foes. The Necrons don't often use them, but no doubt the Shards are their greatest weapons. They can fire energy blasts, control minds, manipulate time, or send enemies to alternate dimensions. There is no limit to what the Shards can do save for imagination. There are of course chances that the trapped C'tans could rebel, which would explain their sparse use, but the Necrons have a fail-safe mechanism for this scenario by which the Shard can be instantly teleported back to its tomb to remain trapped indefinitely. Some alien races have stealth capabilities, but with the Necrons, their entire force operates in deep cover, almost like undead android ghost warriors. It's rare that their enemies ever see them coming. One moment a planet is peaceful, and the next moment Necrons have overrun the place and are unleashing hell. They have been known to bypass Imperial Navy fleets without being noticed. Nor do Necrons ever get captured, and thus the Imperium of Man has never been able to learn their secrets. They simply disappear into thin air. Even Necrons incapacitated in battle disappear from the battlefield. Much of this is thanks to Necron phase technology, which allows them to travel anywhere in the galaxy instantaneously. This mysterious tech is how they teleport themselves and their slaves back to tomb worlds whenever necessary, and why the Necrons have suffered so few losses through time. Even their most gravely injured warriors are teleported away from the battlefield instantaneously for healing. In terms of military organization and hierarchy, the Necrons aren't lacking either. At the top sits their Overlords, powerful and cunning tacticians. The Overlords plan carefully and consider all scenarios and possible outcomes before engaging in conflict. Overlords are rarely outsmarted and are masters of combat. Often Necrons in battle can't even be hit, as they can phase in and out of combat as they fight, meaning attacks go right through them, and in the case of Overlords, their armor is so strong absorbing an attack really isn't an issue anyway, nor is it for really any Necron soldier. Overlords specifically, though, are brutal on the attack, obliterating enemies with a swing of their blade. Under the Overlords, the Necrons feature fantastically skilled and specialized warriors down to the bottom. They have their Immortals, the elite soldiers that make up the mass of their army. Immortals are unwaveringly loyal, totally obedient, and hate their enemies with a passion. They also have no emotional weaknesses like pity, empathy, remorse, or fear. They kill amid the dance of war with dark joy. Glory in battle is all an Immortal exists for, and there are billions, perhaps even trillions of them. Then the Necrons have specialists of all sorts. Cryptechs are their technologists and engineers, which use their advanced knowledge to produce devastatingly powerful contraptions, their control over the forces of the universe being so supreme that their innovations, while the product of science, are also seemingly magical. Necron technology defies reason. One Cryptech, Oricon the Diviner, is so powerful he can travel back in time to make sure his predictions never go awry. Deathmarks are the Necrons' highly skilled snipers and assassins, striking with superlative precision. Lich Guards are the protectors of the Necron nobility with even more advanced armor and intelligence than the average Necron. And Pariahs, spawned by the merger of Necron tech and the human body, have psyches that are completely disconnected from the warp and therefore immune to all psychic abilities, and conversely can incapacitate psychers with their mere presence. Tombstalkers are massive robotic constructs that guard Necron tomb worlds. These necrodermis-composed bots use phase technology to burrow through the solid ground of tomb worlds and exert superior guardianship over the planets. Their advanced senses allow them to detect enemies from distance and even through solid matter. Many armies have battle titans, but the Necrons' titans are not only terribly powerful, but are basically indestructible and can regenerate the same as a Necron warrior. Canoptic Wraiths are a different kind of robotic construct that guard tomb worlds. Canoptic Wraiths float over the surface of tomb worlds, protecting hibernating Necrons. The Wraiths have whip-like arms with necrodermis scalpel blades for fingers, along with other surgical-like weapons built into their frames. Canoptic Wraiths have advanced phase shifters that allow them to selectively phase parts of themselves, whether their bodies to avoid an attack, or their scalpel fingers to penetrate armor and sink directly into an enemy's flesh. The list of Necron warriors, robots, and tech is long, and almost everything on it is unmatched in terms of sophistication and power. Listen, I know what you're thinking. Given the level of advanced tech the Necrons have, especially their phase technology, there's no way their ships aren't incredible as well. And you'd be right. Their ships are armed with weapons of catastrophically destructive power, and they can travel anywhere in the galaxy in an instant. The Necrons are mostly land-based, but in the Necrons' case this isn't a disadvantage. Rather, their forces operate on land so frequently because travel through space is not an obstacle for them at all. Forget faster than light travel. The Necrons have faster than everyone travel, FTE. But as Necron technology is superior to anything yet seen in the Milky Way galaxy, their ships too are unrivaled. It is believed that Necron ships can use phase technology, but even aside from that, they are fast and agile, having some sort of inertialess drives that allow their fleet to travel interstellar distances without traversing the warp. This is the holy grail of 40K space travel. The inertialess drives also endow their ships with unmatched agility in battle. And beyond that, their ships also feature advanced stealth technology, which makes them nearly impossible to detect by enemy radar systems. Necron weapons are simply unmatched in all of existence, so much so that even the star gods could not withstand their power. The reason for superior Necron technology in general actually dates back to their early years in which they were mortal. Their short lifespans and long list of afflictions necessitated a society with advanced science and tech in order to compensate for their fragility, and their scientific and technological knowledge has evolved over time, and when coupled with their necrodermis makeup, becomes godly. Their host of war machines and firepower are terrifying, some of which can shatter worlds. Their death rays fire narrow beams of intense directed energy so strong they can disintegrate entire battle lines. Their doomsday cannons eliminate entire infantry squads with a single shot. Their heat rays are multi-purpose fusion weapons that can melt tanks with their burning plasma. Their particle beamers emit streams of antimatter particles that detonate on contact with normal matter and decimate everything in proximity. Their hyperphase swords have blades with energy coursing through them that vibrates across dimensional states, allowing them to slice through some of the strongest armor and cut foes in half like butter. Alien butter sounds delicious, by the way. But I digress. Given all of the Necrons' guns, they have little use for melee weapons. But they still have swords, because why the hell not? Then there is their entire assortment of Gauss weapons. Weapons that fire green blasts of lightning-like energy that break apart the target's atomic bonds, thus ripping enemies apart atom by atom. Gauss weapons are weapons that the Imperium of Man seems to have no answer for, as they seem to be effective against even the most well-armored vehicles, and according to humanity's tech priests, because they defy the laws of physics, as they should overheat and malfunction due to the incredible amount of energy they release. Then again, the tech priests, as we all know, are, to be politically correct, differently abled. Oh, and the Necrons have the Aeonic Orb, an orb made of necrodermis that contains a fragment of a star inside. On the battlefield, the containment field is lowered to the degree to which the user wants the power of the resulting solar flare to be. The Aeonic Orb's power has no equal and can destroy any known material, including the strongest of void shields. Then you would all kill me if I didn't mention the Celestial Ori. The Celestial Ori is a hologram of the entire galaxy, but it's not just a hologram. It is the galaxy in miniature form, and altering any part of it will also alter its corresponding region of the actual galaxy. A simple tap to any star in the hologram would cause it to go supernova, destroying all of the worlds around it. Some alien races have such impressive arsenals of weapons that we'd need an entire video just to cover them alone. But in the case of the Necrons, we could probably do an entire series. Alright, finally the flaws. I'm gonna be honest, the Necrons don't really have any. So what is to follow is mostly nitpicking. The first nitpick is that there is a sense of chaos among the Necron ranks. It is a controlled chaos with fail-safe mechanisms throughout, but still, if such fail-safes fail themselves, the Necron Empire could collapse as its armies descend into mutiny and war on a galactic scale. Their destroyers are deranged killers that outfit themselves with bodily firepower, replacing their limbs with weapons. They exist solely to murder other organic beings. Every living thing is their enemy, and even other Necrons fear them. Flayed Ones are accursed Necrons that were once like other Necrons but maintained some of their original consciousness when they were transferred over to their necrodermis bodies, but were cursed by the star god the Flayer with a disease that causes them to constantly hunger for flesh and drives them mad. They spread terror on the battlefield using their blades to flay enemies alive and then adorning their bodies with the skin of their defeated foes. Now, I realize that I'm currently only making the Necrons sound cooler, but while the Flayed Ones do join the Necrons in battle, they never do so by invitation. They just appear of their own accord. Then, of course, Catan Shards are their powerful enslaved gods that they unleash in warfare. Destroyers, Flayed Ones, and Catan Shards are all great boons to the Necron army, but one can see how if their fail-safe systems fail, the Necrons themselves could be massacred by their own forces, some of which simply lust for blood, and others like the Catan that lust for vengeance. The second nitpick is their battlefield tactics. While they have an excellent array of military leadership and specialized combatants, their tactics can sometimes be predictable, following fairly simple attack patterns. Such is often the case with armies of such superior power that they don't always need to put the most effort into strategy. Finally, their biggest actual flaw is a lack of psychic power and psykers. Psychics are perhaps the most effective weapons that can be used against the Necrons, and of course the Necrons have no ability to use psychic power on offense or harness the destructive power of the warp. That said, as we've discussed, they have plenty of defenses against psychic power. They have devices called null field matrices, which are anti-psychic emitters that generate a shield of energy across their tomb worlds that destabilizes a psyker's connection to the warp, weakening his power. Warp demons have trouble penetrating these null fields as well. Additionally, while Necrons can't access the warp's power, they might be better off not having to deal with the terrors that come with doing so. And so we're back to listing Necron advantages. So let's end this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please click right up there. I'm shooting in a new spot today, so I don't know exactly where it'll be, but somewhere up there to rank the Necrons on a scale of 1 to 5. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of the Necrons and how much you hated or loved this series. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. For now, my name is American Ben, and I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.